Shelly does have a plane to catch, and since we're late, we want to make sure that we can hear what he has to say. So, any of you who don't know Shelly, he runs the best tour at CES. He's a consultant to many companies in the room, so many of you are familiar with his emails or other forms of communication. He's helping all of us to navigate the future of media and technology, and we're hoping he can give us some insights into the future of measurement. So let's welcome Shelly.
There's no version of the world where my time is more important than your time. So, but unfortunately, United Airlines doesn't think I matter at all. So my chances of getting to San Francisco tonight are hugely diminished. So thank you for that. A CEO, brand new CEO, gets to a company and decides he's going to go on a tour of the facility. And he goes from floor to floor, and he sees a whole bunch of people working, and he's relatively impressed. He gets to one floor, and he sees everybody diligently working, except one guy's up against the wall, just sort of doing nothing. And he gets incensed, and he decides, here is a chance to show his power. And he walks right up to the guy and goes, how much do you make a week? The guy goes, $400. He goes, wait right there. And everybody's kind of shaking and looking. And a few minutes later, the CEO comes back in the room and goes, here's a month's pay. Now get out of here. The guy takes the money, kind of smiles and leaves, and the CEO, now all full of himself, turns around to the people on the floor and goes, now, can anybody in this room tell me what that guy does for a living? And one guy pipes up and goes, yeah, he's the pizza delivery guy. If you ask the wrong question, you are guaranteed to get the wrong answer. Absolutely, 100%, unequivocally guaranteed to get the wrong answer. That sounds like some profound insight, but it's not. It's just common sense. Now, 2 seconds ago, Greg Farrow got up here and he said measurement versus ROI. And I love that line. To me, that's the most important thing I've seen on a slide in months. Let's talk about that for a second. Everybody here is an expert in your own job. You guys are all domain experts. I'm not even going to pretend to start to talk to you about cross-platform measurement because that's a debatable, Socratically debatable topic. There are so many problems with data sets. We just heard George talk about munging data and pre-processing, and if we want to go into the data science zone where we need our foundational skills of domain expertise and mathematics and computer science, I'll go there with you all day long. But something else is coming. And that one line on the one slide said it all. Everybody here is more or less in the advertising business, the media business, the measuring of media business. If you can't measure it, you can't sell it. We all know the business we're in. Sadly, we are not in a business that helps our clients. We're in a business that helps our shareholders. And there is a profound difference between helping your shareholders and helping your clients. Our clients sell stuff. We sell CPMs. You can call them something else, but we measure the media and tell them how much media they bought. That's what we do. As an industry, it's not just the people in the room, it's everybody in the industry. But as it turns out, that has nothing to do with selling stuff. If I sell bottled water, I'm judged by my adjusted case volume. How many bottles of water could I spin at retail? The job of every marketer that hires every agency, that hires every creative service, that hires everybody is to drive velocity at retail. That is their job, period. Doesn't matter what business, B2B, B2C, name the business, spin more at retail. The more mature the brand, the more the requirement to drive velocity at retail. It is what they do. That really doesn't have anything to do with selling CPMs or CP anythings. Cost per click, cost per action, cost per nothing. Doesn't drive velocity at retail. They then have to make a calculation that says there's some return on that investment. Now, data science needs a definition. We're going to talk about it for a second. We've only got 15 or so minutes today, but data science needs a definition for this moment. And for today, for just this room, while we're here, I'm going to say that data science is defined as turning information into action. You don't need to love it as a total definition of data science, but we'll use it for right now so we all are speaking the same language. So we're going to try and turn information into action, and we're going to use the tools of data science to do it. That includes all the things you've heard all day long: pre-processing, data munging, data wrangling, getting your data sets nice and clean, figuring out how you're going to have a computer science environment to make them operatable on, finding some good algorithms that will sort of take the complexity of the world we live in and simplify them. And obviously, you're going to ask the right questions. You'll have domain experts asking the right questions. That we know. From the beginning of time, literally the beginning of time till now, advertising has been about calling people to action, literally calling them to action, measuring their action or their engagement, and trying to get it either right. If you didn't get it right, you will adjust the model and try again. Sometimes we use a couple of metrics that we're all familiar with: brand awareness, lift, purchase intent. Maybe we do a study before, we go ahead and run our program, we run the study afterwards. If there's some lift, there's some brand awareness and some purchase intent, we think we've done a better job. We've been doing that for a long time. But the operating premise of this is we're calling a human being to do something. We're engaging them. Hey, buy my knives. That's right now. Engage with me now. Press a direct response button and directly response, buy my Ginsu knives. We may be saying, come to my Columbus Day sale on Monday, but it's Wednesday when I'm starting to run my schedule because I want to build up some good buzz about my sale. So sometime in the very close future, I'm calling you to action. I'm going to measure it the same way. It's the same kind of ad. It's a call to action, but I can't act on it now. I'm going to act on it in a couple days. And then there's brand/lifestyle advertising, which is sometime in the future. BMW, the ultimate driving machine. It literally took them 40 years from the time I was 8 till I was 48 for them to sell me a BMW. I wanted it from the time I was 8 years old. I couldn't afford it at 8. Certainly couldn't afford it at 18. 28, station wagon. 38, minivan. 48, in the driveway. 40 years. Now, someone here do that ROI calculation because there's a reach and frequency curve. There's a reach curve, a set of reach curves in there that drive you crazy. Anyway, I digress. It's the same exact thing. It's just temporarily different, right? The timing is different. Right now, pretty soon, someday. But I'm doing exactly the same thing. And I adjust my model and I rinse, lather, repeat. How many of you were at CES this year? Excellent. If you walked around CES, what you would have seen is a ton of devices that interact with us and we interact with that have nothing to do with the media business. How many of you have been to Disney World and had a magic band on? Okay, this is actually not a magic band. This is my Misfit Shine. It measures my steps and tells me how much I don't sleep. And ultimately what this is for is generally bragging rights that you're trying to lose weight. I'm trying so hard. In Disney World, there's a band that looks almost exactly like this, but it's got mouse ears on it, and it comes in colors. What it does is it authenticates you into Disney World. No more tickets. You walk up to your hotel room, you put your hand on the door opens. No lock, no key, no nothing. It knows it's you. Walk in the room knows it's you. The TV set lights up and does whatever it's going to do. The curtains open. Everything happens in the room based on the magic band. You go to the park. You've got a companion app in your smartphone, and what is it? It tells you what rides you're scheduled for. It tells you the length of each line in the rides. If you're standing in a line queue, it tells you, don't stand here. Go over to see Ariel at the little Princess Under the Sea thing. It's going to be a shorter line, and your granddaughter's going to love it. It actually says that right there. Granddaughter going to love it. And you go, and when it takes your picture, you don't have to worry about anybody, get a little ticket afterwards. The picture shows up in your smart device, and if you've paid in advance, you're done. And if not, it gives you the opportunity to spend more money at Disney World. And if you go to a restaurant, you can pay by holding your hand up, and it just knows, and the waiter or waitress just taps your thing. Are you getting this? What I'm trying to say to you is that you now do not actively engage. You passively engage. And every single place you go, you create data. Now, the definition of data science is turning information into action. And what Greg said was so important. What he said was, they're interested in ROI, not measurement. And they're going to get to the ROI calculation with you or without you. Now, this is a profound moment in the history of our world. So let me try and put this in some catastrophic perspective for you that sounds so horrifying and ominous that it will get your attention. There's a thesis that I believe is true. The velocity of information is increasing and will always increase. You can disagree with that thesis. It's just not something you can prove. Right now, every ounce of everything you can observe in the observable universe tells you that the amount of information, the velocity of information, is increasing and will always increase. If the definition of data science is to turn that information into action, realistically, we do a kind of data science. We do analytics. We've always used mathematics. We've always used data processing and computer science. And we've always been domain experts. And so the foundational skills of data science, domain expertise, mathematics, and computer science are all in this room right now. Never not been. We are the original data scientists. We may have a new name for ourselves, but we're in that business. We've always been in that business. Something new is happening. Media is not the only actionable data that is being created now. And if the velocity of data is increasing and will always increase, then Google buying Nest, the thermostat company, and making data about our house, and GE and Samsung and everybody else making dishwashers and dryers and devices that are fully connected and data generating tell us our behaviors. New real estate exists, new touch points exist, and a ton of new data exists. What happens if a marketer makes that actionable and we're not there? What happens if marketers make that actionable and we're not there? That's a big change. It's never been possible, ever, in our history, till this past CES in January. Cisco says there will be, by 17, around 25 billion connected devices in the world. I don't know how many 25 billion is, but it sounds like a lot. And Qualcomm is telling me 50 billion devices by 20. I don't know what 25 billion is, I promise you. I have no clue what 50 billion is, but it sounds like twice as much. That many devices generating data that people will need to turn into action. Are we going to be there to use our data science expertise on that day when the marketer says, I don't actually care what happened with the video, because I have a monetizable experience right now close to the point of sale where I can send a message based on their proximity, not through beaconing from Apple, but through the radio waves that are aggregated in the room. Now, I've seen 50 technologies that just look at every radio wave in the room and decide what they want to do with it. It's cheap. It works on every device. It'll work on all kinds of things. When that data set becomes the possession of who? The package? Does the package store the data? Does the cloud store the data? Does the retailer store the data? Do we have to trade for it? Do we need to exchange for it? There's an entire new ecosystem of currency that everyone in this room needs to really be versed in. And in fact, I would argue, you guys need to invent it. Because if you let it get invented without you, and we, by the way, are the world's foremost experts in measuring things like how much time someone spent, whether we reach them or not. Like, we know those metrics. Reach and frequency, we got it. Time spent, we got it. So those concepts should work perfectly in the Internet of Things. There will be trillions, with a T, of dollars spent wiring houses, connecting smart devices to interact with human beings to give them a better life through technology. None of it is going to be traditional media technology. It's going to just generate mounds of data. You guys have an unbelievable opportunity, but do not get caught up. And my time here, the reason I wanted to speak to you guys today is to really just put forth this thesis. Not only is the velocity of information increasing and will always increase, but I would humbly submit to you that anything that can be connected will be connected. I would say that calling something a connected car or a connected toaster is going to be not what we do, any more than we now call a radio a transistor radio. All radios have transistors in them. Connected is going to be the norm, not the exception. And so devices are just going to be connected. People are going to be connected. The world, as we go through it, will be passively engaged with, and it will generate data that you can then either aggregate, associate. Can you imagine what association rule mining would feel like if you were doing it on data sets you've never seen before, but they could be actionable against your media measurement? And by the way, there may be things that can be done with machine learning, either supervised, unsupervised, reinforcement learning, even deep learning, where the machines just go at it themselves and we build training sets, or we even let the machines build their own training sets. And we can come up with completely new ways to think about how to return on investment. What does ROAS mean in the 21st century? It's a question that I know you haven't dealt with much today, but as far as I'm concerned, a group like this, it's too rich in knowledge. You people are too expert in the idea of measuring something of value and returning that measurement as a unit of value. The entire West Coast is trying to invest everything they can invest in putting things on the grid, making them smart in some way, and aggregating that data. Amazon just launched AML last week, Amazon Machine Learning. For 50 cents a CPU hour, you can put training sets up all day long, and you can build all kinds of crazy machine learning environments, like for free, like 10, 20 bucks. We have 10 unsupervised learning projects up there. We put up 3 or 4 reinforcement training sets just to see what it's like. I think our whole bill last week was 200 bucks. We crunched like 2 terabytes of data just for fun. If you guys want to have a good time, and I know, I like to have a good time that way. I know you do too. So, go on Amazon, go to AWS, go to AML, and start playing with the actual rentable data science in a box, because that's going to tell you a little bit about the future you live in. I'll leave you with one last thought. The world's going to get significantly more transactional than it is right now. Mobile real estate seriously does not have physical room the way that a desktop does, or a television does, or a movie screen does. It's just not there. And so there are going to be slotting fees of some kind, and the metaphors, this isn't getting any bigger. This is an iPhone 6 Plus. I can't one-hand this thing. I almost always need 2 hands on it. If I want to put it in my pocket, it just quite doesn't fit. It's not that they can't make a bigger phone, it's that human beings can't hold them. Which means that there's a physiological, anthropological reason why this screen isn't getting any bigger. Well, if it's not getting bigger, then what goes on it is going to have to be more precise, more concise, and I would argue significantly more transactional. That means you're going to tie that measurement back to something that we don't deal with right now. It's going to feel like the lowly direct response world as opposed to the lofty brand/lifestyle world. And it's going to come faster than you think. So just to leave you with the final thought, this shouldn't scare you. It just shouldn't. It should absolutely inspire you. There's nothing you can do to change this, but there is everything you can do to take advantage of it, because you know more about what's about to happen than any other group that's even slightly related to this. There's nothing that will prepare anyone better than the training that everyone in this room has. So go forth and kick some butt. Thank you all very, very much.
So if you still have some energy left, we have some drinks out there, and you might need one after that talk. So thank you so much, all of you, for coming today. I do apologize for the lateness and the schedule, but we were able to pack everything in, and you can talk to people that you weren't able to talk to for a few minutes outside here. So thanks again, and we look forward to seeing you next year.